What is an open secret in your profession that we regular folk don't know or generally aren't allowed to be told about? We don't actually know how general anesthesia works at the molecular level. There are theories but nothing concrete. As a freelance ghostwriter, most of my clients are Russian or Middle Eastern men who publish 5 to 10 ghost-written romance or erotica books a week under female pen names. They spend $10K a month and double or triple that by flooding the market. At one point, one client told me he had 6 of the top 10 Regency romance spots on the paid bestseller list. The sheer magnitude of criminal cases that detectives have that will pretty much never even get looked at, much less investigated due to a massive lack of staffing. I'm a furniture upholsterer, and the amount of times other professionals just recover the old fabric and filling drives me mental. If you're paying for reupholstery, ask for progress photos. Nobody needs all that nasty old fabric hidden underneath, and it's not fair to the client as they don't necessarily know any better, nor should they have to. I am in IT. We don't always know why the fix worked and we don't care. Dummy thermostats are pretty common. It basically works like a placebo where people feel more comfortable when they think they have control over the room temperature. It results in way fewer complaints. If you see 12 different sellers for an item on Amazon, in all likelihood the total number of sellers is probably 3 to 4, all of whom have multiple names selling the same item at different prices. I worked as a retail manager in the past. A customer's attitude and approach is about 99% of the reason someone would help them solve the problem. Sale ended yesterday? Your return is past the date? You want a better price on a clearance item? Be a normal, kind person and you'll usually get your way. If you start off being poopy or demanding, then sorry, I can't help you. It's store policy. The amount of salt and fat in your food, especially at high-quality restaurants. We kept a large hotel pan full of clarified butter behind the line. It'd be empty by the end of the night. All hotels have had bed bugs at one point or another. High-end and low-end hotels. What separates the good hotels from the bad ones are how they handle bed bugs once they are discovered. But if you ask the front desk if they have ever had bed bugs, they will typically lie and say no, since most people don't understand how bed bug infestations happen. Most hospitals are actually crazy trusting about who they release dead bodies to when people die. Oftentimes I show up with just a gurney and someone's name scribbled on a post-it note, and they just let me walk out with somebody's grandma without asking my name or getting ID or anything. Your dog or cat is much more comfortable when you are there with them during euthanasia. It's really hard when people say, "It's too hard for me to be here with him," and leave the room for it. It is one of the hardest things ever. But they need you there with them. They look around for you sometimes. That being said, if we do the euthanasia without you, we always have one staff member whose only job during the procedure is to cuddle and comfort your pet and tell them how much their owner loves them and what a good boy they are. We know all the websites you are visiting and all the rounds of Minesweeper you are playing while you are at your desk. But as long as you aren't doing anything illegal, we don't care. Teacher here. I learned early on in the game that there are a lot of supplies we don't have to pay for if we just know where to look and how to ask nicely. Want to have a lesson about plants? Go to a grocery store florist a few days ahead and ask if they can set aside their dying flowers for your class. Need cardboard? Ask a store for their old boxes. I've even heard of my colleagues just going to stores and asking for donations and explaining why, and getting new stuff for free. It's amazing how much people are willing to go out of their way to help educate kids. If you buy an antique or a vintage piece, it most likely went through approximately 5 hands, each one at least doubling the price. Bet worker here. Probably doesn't count as a secret, but we absolutely do pet your cats and dogs a lot when you bring them in. Wash your fruits and vegetables. If a box breaks open and produce falls out, we rebox it and ship it. I used to work in daycare. I have worked at several. I'm American. The law in Washington state was 14 toddlers to 2 staff. And most daycares try to run at the max amount, which provides a terribly stressful environment for children. Even if you enroll your kid in a daycare with less children to teacher ratio, the daycare is usually trying to raise it, and a couple less kids being there is temporary. State regulations can be bizarre and cause even less ratio of care. For example, every child must have their diaper changed every 2 hours or more, all day, and be documented. Multiply that by 14 kids. So changing all 14 diapers, potty training some every 2 hours for 8 to 10-hour days. The 2-staff rule is really just one person watching the kids for most of the day while the other person is changing diapers. A good environment being provided is almost impossible when one person is watching 14 toddlers. The state taxes daycares for breaking any small rule, so they struggle to make money and pay people fairly, hire more staff. The majority of regular broadcast radio shows are pre-recorded. If a DJ is broadcasting live, usually the morning shows, they still have no control over what music plays. It's all pre-programmed. They'll usually record phone requests and replay them during the voice break before the requested song is scheduled to play anyway, to make it seem like they're taking requests. When the studio is empty, all phone lines are set to busy, so no one calls and realizes there's no one there to answer. That reinforced glass and that security camera may not actually be unbreakable or being monitored or recorded, respectively. If you can see the monitor showing the camera feed, it doesn't actually mean it's being recorded. 2. These things can just be there to make people guess whether it actually works or not. Go ahead, roll that dice. People typically just go somewhere where there isn't a camera or glass. Instead, at the airlines, we generally have no idea where your bag is at any given time. It follows a chain of events to get to the right place. If it ends up missing, no one is looking for your bag. Your file gets loaded in a computer, and when your bag is eventually scanned somewhere, a person is notified to grab it before it moves on to somewhere else. This also means, if you jump to an earlier flight, there is a strong chance that your bag is going to fly on the original flight. The time is usually too little to go find it, retag it and get it to a new flight. If you jump to another airline and we have already retagged it, handed it off to a different airline, it is done. We are not going to be able to retrieve it. It is flying on that flight. Just because your bag tag shows CLT on it does not mean it was accidentally sent there. We often send bags through multiple cities as it will reunite you in your bag hours faster than the next direct flight. Sometimes, we even send it on other airlines that you never even flew on. We may even send it the other way around the globe. LAX to DXB, Dubai. You may have flown through London on British Airways, but the fastest way for me to send your bag may be through Seoul, South Korea on Delta and Korean Air. We try our best, but it's a question of volume, staffing, time, and technology. Classical musician, lots of us at your local symphony are drugged up on beta blockers when we perform. When temperamental artists ask us to adjust the sound and we pretend to twiddle knobs. Insurance rep here. Your credit score matters more than people realize. It can affect your auto insurance premium by as much as $100 a month. And if you're a renter, I can pretty much ballpark your credit score by running a renter's insurance quote for you. The higher the monthly premium for your renter's insurance, the poopier your credit score. Work in telecommunications. 5G does not cause coronavirus. For some reason, medical device prices are inflated beyond the stratosphere against what it costs to make them. I understand there are more regulating organizations that are applicable for medical devices and not other products, automotive, electrical, petrochemical, but what the frick? An item that costs us $700 to make is sold to our dealers in $3K. Then they sell those to hospitals in $7K. Then the hospital sells them the client, patient in $10K.